Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Life here, and if my maths is accurate, let me do the maths. It's as of recording, it's the 5th of January. Pokémon Legends Arceus comes out on the 28th of January, meaning we're 23 days away. Is that correct? Voices?
God, he's good at maths, isn't he?
Excuse me, it's actually pronounced Arceus. You had to know. Now you know. I'm glad. I just had to tell you. I'm so sorry.
So who's that voice correcting me?
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but hey guys, I'm here. Sorry I'm a little late.
Alex.
Shall we get this on topic about the latest Pokemon game? And this is weird because it feels like we just got a Pokemon game with, I can't remember the name of them, Shining Pearl and...
Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl or something,
them.
yeah.
From my perspective, I can't blame you for forgetting about them already. It's okay.
They're not memorable, are they? But this one feels like it's going to be very ambitious, and whether that's going to turn out good or bad, we don't quite know yet. But the fact that it's doing new things is exciting. So before we actually get into this, Xeon, where is your excitement level for Legends? And also, did you play the remakes?
So I did not play Diamond and Pearl remakes. I played the original Diamond, and it was kind of like that generation kind of came out when I was kind of falling off of Pokemon. It's kind of like the one gray area that I have in this series. And normally you'd think that means that I'd be super excited to go and play Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, but I just didn't like graphically and like the gameplay. It didn't really seem, I don't know, there just like wasn't anything that excited me about it. But with Legends, I've kind of stayed away from a lot of trailers and things, but the more I look into it and the more I'm like realizing that like you can sneak up on Pokemon in the wild, like it sounds, I'm more excited absolutely than for Diamond and Pearl. So yes. Cool. I'm excited.
Just to break this up, because I know Alex has a similar answer about the remakes. I did play the remakes, and they were fine. They're very by the books. You know exactly what to expect. There's very little new. It's cool that they updated them with some like modern quality of life stuff, like no HMs. Like that stuff's appreciated, but it's not exciting. So like this feels like a more of a step forward, something not even the traditional mainline games are doing. But Alex, what's your excitement level, and have you played the remakes?
If I were to give my excitement level a number, it would be C. No, I'm pretty excited overall. I'm apprehensive at the same time, though. I don't want to have all of this excitement and all this enthusiasm and then have it completely fall off the edge of a cliff. That would be, really, really disappointing. But at the same time, I would rather be a bit excited and be slightly disappointed. But yeah, I didn't play the remakes. I didn't play Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl because I just have no interest in retreading those. I really liked Diamond and Pearl overall. I wouldn't necessarily say they were my favorite games overall in the Pokemon series, but I think Diamond was the one that I actually played the most, just because I started getting into doing things like, that was when I learned about things like natures and IVs and things like that, and so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make the best Caterpie ever. Don't remember if Caterpie's in that game, but yeah, I didn't really just have any drive to go to these remakes at all, so I did not.
That's understandable though, because they announced these two at the same time, and I think you immediately had a very firm idea of where you stood. And I think the fact that they announced them, yeah, like they're very different games. One is very clearly a by-the-books, safe remake, and the other one is, it feels like a leap forward for the entire series. Like compared to even Sword and Shield, this feels like it's doing something so different, something that they haven't really done since Red and Blue. Like this is like a drastic change. And there's simple stuff, like it no longer goes to battle screens anymore. You just throw out your Pokeball in the overworld, and suddenly you're battling with the Pokemon. There's no transitions. And even when you're catching a Pokemon, there's no transition. It's just this seamless one-to-one process of just being in the overworld. And that's something that I feel like the mainline game should have been doing for a while now. Because things like Dragon Quest do that. So it's just really cool to see that happening in a core game. But it's going way further than that, though. In fact, there's so much we don't know. They announced this game over a year ago at this point, but we still don't really know that much about the story or even just the core gameplay loop, really.
Yeah, I sort of all the new mechanics and everything that they're showing off. I'm really excited about those. I think they look Like, it is a genuine step forward. In a way, I'm a little bit surprised and concerned that they're doing things so differently, because, you know, Pokemon tends to drag its heels as a series. Doesn't move on, doesn't do new ideas, it just sort of drip feeds little, sort of, oh no, there's not Mega Evolutions anymore, it's Dynamaxing, it's different. They're really big now, but the same. And then you get Gigantamaxing, and that muddies the entire point that I was trying to make. But, sort of, it's small ideas, incremental, little, teeny tiny changes that don't really affect the fundamentals. They've done things like removing HMs, and, all the stuff with things like in Sun and Moon, they got rid of gym leaders, and I thought that was kind of fun and interesting, and then they brought them right back. So they don't make a lot of big changes, and this time, they are doing so many changes, I almost fear it's too many for the core audience. It's going to be such a different experience that some people are going to be put off by it. I've seen so many polarized views on this. Some people are saying, this game's going to be amazing. And so many people saying, this game is going to be the worst thing that's happened since unsliced bread, or something like that. And the reality of it is that obviously it's going to fall somewhere in the middle. And generally when it comes to rhetoric online, nobody likes people who sit in the middle and just say, well, it's probably, going to be somewhere between those two. Which means that we're probably going to get some kickback from this, because I have a feeling, and feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, that we all kind of feel like that. We think it's going to be, between amazing and terrible.
It's weird. I kind of do personally fall in the middle camp where I am excited for this, but I don't everything that we've seen so far. It doesn't look like this is going to be, a Game of the Year candidate, I suppose. And obviously, we haven't played the game yet, so we can't really speak on that matter too much. We can only talk about what we've seen. But there are so many things that we still don't know about, like you guys have said, like the story. We don't even know how Arceus falls into the story yet. I think we finally were given a look at actual uncut gameplay of a trainer walking into battle and trying to catch a Pokemon and then starting up a battle. But so I kind of my excitement is it falls into this camp where I'm very excited to play it, and I hope I'm excited for the mystery of not knowing anything, or how legendaries are going to pop up, and are we going to be able to wander into a cave and find a Pokemon that we've never seen before, or are we going to be able to see shinies on the overworld? I've been thinking about it a lot since you brought up the fact that that you guys wanted to record this video, and there's a lot of stuff that I want to see come out of this game. But I don't know if any of these things that I want will make it, the best Pokemon game ever made. But for me, I think that's okay. I just want something different. And I think you guys probably feel the same too. I know Alex is tired. I feel like I could say of what Pokemon has done lately. But I don't know. I guess I just don't. Even if this game isn't incredible, if it's not the best thing since I don't even know what to compare it to. My gummy vitamins that I take every day, which those are pretty good. I almost want to take more every day, but then I have to say, Zia, no, you already took some this morning.
That's a niche comparison, isn't it?
It is, but it's
something specific to the person speaking.
There's 5 people in the comments just going, yeah.
Yeah, those gummy vitamins are great.
Gummy vitamins, and there's something to behold.
They're pretty good, honestly. Some of them are strawberry. There's some lemon ones in here, but enough about my vitamins.
What flavor they were.
Oh, good.
Are any blackcurrant? I love blackcurrant.
Oh yeah, you do. I don't. I don't have any
God
of those.
damn it.
No, strawberry, lemon, and orange flavors. That's it. Wow, I thought there was 4, but. Are
you reading the box now?
Oh yeah, I've got it right here on my desk all times.
I think we're off topic.
Just in case you need vitamins.
We are
slightly off topic. They had vitamins in Pokemon Arceus Legends.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense. But yeah, so I'm excited, but I don't think this is going to. I don't know. I guess it could change the game for the future of Pokemon, but I don't think this is going to be the the one that makes people that never played the series jump on over, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if
I think that's the key part that's exciting, because I agree, I don't think this is going to be like the best Switch game or anything like that, but I do think it's exciting for what Pokemon could be in the future, because it's been stuck in such a formulaic route for ages. Pokemon hasn't really evolved in a long time. Like, Sword and Shield did things like the wild area, and that had ambition. Like, it was cool just to walk up to Pokemon who were roaming around and just battle whoever you want to. That was kind of cool. But if you take the Pokemon away, you just have this big, barren, open space. And I'm hoping that Arceus does something a bit more with that, like that isn't just Pokemon populating the world, that there's more to the world. And it's cool that we've seen, like we can just call upon a Pokemon and fly around on it. And in prior Pokemon games, that would be like a little menu, like I want to fly here, so you go over there. Whereas in this, you can just go on the Pokemon and fly where you want to go. And that's cool. It's the freedom that looks cool. I also love that, like, when you go to a Pokemon encounter, you don't fade away, you don't do that ball throwing animation that you see 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. You literally just throw the ball out in real time, and you're battling. The speed of that, I think, is going to make just moving around far more interesting. And hopefully there's some sort of cave or something, because Sword and Shield had caves, but they were just straight paths. And now that we have a fully rotating 3D camera, not just for the overworld, but for everything, hopefully there's just a more intricate level design with this.
I think it really says an awful lot about the Pokemon series, where we're like, guys, they could have caves because they've now got a 3D camera. I mean, that really overemphasizes the sort of the limitations of previous games. And I know, sort of it's been on less powerful systems in the past, but Sword and Shield, they didn't really have any excuse. I mean, you can argue that, they were, because it was on the same engine, I think. They ported the engine from the 3DS to the Switch. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But that's, sort of, it's like, well, why did you do that? Why did you do that if that was going to be a hindrance? And, probably made the workflow easier, but in the end it ended up with so many limitations. I don't know whether they're using a new engine for this, whether it's the same engine and they've optimized it or something, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But one thing I'm actually curious to know from you both is, how do you feel about the performance and the presentation overall?
So the debut trailer, if you remember, was a slideshow. Like, when they first showed this game off, it was so choppy. And people were very, hesitant. Like, is this just going to be another rushed Pokemon game? And they have fixed that. Like, the game looks to run well now. We've seen just some raw gameplay. You can walk around. It's Pokemon who are a few feet from you aren't moving at 15 frames per second. That's good stuff. It's not a technical masterpiece, though. Like, if you look into the distance, trees don't have shadows. They look very weird and pop in. So I'm not expecting anything impressive, technically. But it looks like it runs well. And I do quite like the art style, admittedly. Even if there are a lot of weird technical things going on, I think it still looks pretty nice overall.
Yeah, I'd agree with the art style. I think it's definitely a sort of a positive way forward. It looks a little bit more cel-shaded than previous Pokemon games. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether that's just because of some lighting or something, or just my own perception, but it definitely seems a little bit more stylized. There are some textures that I think are how do I put this kindly? Arse awful. Like, really blurry. At the end of the day, it's not a massive deal. Like, don't get me wrong, if they were better, I'd be much happier. But at the end of the day, sort of when you've seen the same texture on someone's, like, there's this woman, and she's got these pom-poms on the end on her wrist, like some massive bangles or something, and they are really low res, really, really low res. And I don't know why that is the case, whether it's a limitation, whether it's I can't imagine it's a stylistic choice, but
it could just be that person's style.
Maybe they're going for a retro look.
Right.
But yeah, it doesn't look great. There are, I would say, the wider scope, sort of when you're looking at a landscape and stuff like that, I'd say overall the game looks pretty nice. I mean, at the end of the day, you look at Breath of the Wild, sort of with a microscope, you're going to see some muddy textures, and but the game still looks fantastic. There are no doubt some people going to the comments saying it looks like a PS2 game. same people who probably never played a PS2 game, but, you know, you'll get that. But I think that overall Breath of the Wild looks good. It looks pleasing to the eye. And that's generally the case with this game, but there are some areas where it's really looking a bit rough.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it looks a bit empty in places. Like if you look at like the tree count, for example, like when there are moments where you're flying overhead or the character's like kind of up on a cliff and they can see over the area. It makes me wonder, you know, like did Pokemon Company just like ignore an email from like Monolith? Like what were they offered help and they declined it? Like because I don't know. It feels like the overworld could use a bit of help, I suppose, and hopefully, you know, if this game does well, you know, maybe Pokemon Company will learn more about building these 3D environments and how to populate them and make it all work and still look nice. But yeah, at the moment, that's kind of one of the big points that I'm worried about too. Is just the is the overworld going to be full of just Pokemon once again, or are there going to be things to do out within it besides the Pokemon? Like what? That's what I'm curious about.
Could I derail the conversation very briefly because I've just been watching the trailer, one of the trailers, the one that came out on the 15th of December, and there's an instance where a load of people, you know, a load of the main character and a load of other people are indoors, and there's an Abra in the background, and the Abra is running at like 10 frames a second.
Maybe he's just teleporting a lot.
Maybe, yeah.
He's a little tired.
It's a trick with the camera. It's a frame rate trick. My first thought when I saw that was it can't deal with all those models. There are 6 character models on screen. It's not exactly far away either. Like if it was right off in the distance or something, whatever. But that's very visible. And this may well be an old build of the game, but this is what they're publicizing their game with, and it just makes me think, this is the stuff that worries me. It's little areas where either they're running on an old build of the game or this is what we're going to get, and it's not a big deal at the end of the day, but it kind of just smacks of I don't want to say overambition because it's not. It sort of feels like, is this really like the big new Pokemon game? And I mean, you have to take concessions because the Pokemon Company isn't, you know, one of the biggest companies in the world with the biggest media franchise literally ever, except it is. They have basically unlimited budget. They could put as much money into this as they want, and it just, at the end of the day, if the game's fun and the new mechanics are fun, that's what I care about. But it just makes me anxious.
Yeah, I sometimes see people blaming the Switch for this stuff too, but so many other Switch games look better than this. And obviously there are different, you know, game development isn't simple, obviously not. There's just no like raw way to do things like this, but still, yeah, you should expect better. But I think we can talk about the technical aspect all day. There's still so much about the game that we don't know. And like we don't even know really what you do in Legends Arceus. Like they've shown it a couple of times, but it's not like a traditional Pokemon where you do gyms and then go to the Pokemon League. It's not that kind of thing anymore. And I think we've been addressing like what you do in the world quite a lot in this chat so far. And I think that's the interesting part, because it seems like in Arceus, more so than any other Pokemon game, we're probably going to be revisiting environments more. And like other Pokemon games are designed in a rather linear fashion, where you have routes that have a point A and a point B. And that's kind of it. Whereas now I think there's going to be a lot more to do in these environments, not just because they're full 3D, but because it's more like a quest system, it seems, this time around, rather than just like one-and-done environments. So like, what are you expecting from the actual progression of Legends Arceus, and what would you kind of compare that to?
Well, I mean, the sort of plot, for lack of a better term, the narrative is a better term for it, is that you are creating the first Pokédex. You are creating what is essentially an encyclopedia of Pokemon in the Hisui region, which I probably mispronounced. But, you know, sort of that's the main narrative. But yeah, we don't know how you're going to progress that narrative. Are you going to be, you know, after you've caught 10 Pokemon, come back to Professor Who's-Its and they'll give you a bean, and that bean can take you to a new area or something like that.
Are you describing Ocarina of Time right now?
I might be. For some reason, I always think Ocarina of Time, the Bean Man makes noises. That's only Majora's Mask. I went back and played Ocarina of Time recently. I was disappointed that he didn't go,
The power, that's the power of the N64 expansion pack on display right there, Alex.
But what do you think, Xeon? What are we going to be doing?
So I was kind of having an idea that, you guys were talking about the fact that the game seems like it's going to rely heavily on a quest system. You go to town, you talk to somebody, they tell you, oh, go catch this Pokemon, or go research it, or go find me this item that only spawns in this area, or something like that. But so I wonder, we still don't know about gyms either, like you said, but it's possible that this world just won't have gyms, and maybe the game will mostly just play around that quest system, and there will be side quests that have you go catch, that help you fill in the Pokédex. But maybe then, in order to progress the story, you'll have to go and capture larger, more iconic Pokemon throughout the game. And so, yeah, I'm curious if the Pokemon Company has scrapped gyms once again, and if we're just going to have this kind of simple quest system. But from what we've seen, there's nothing really telling us that we're going to have anything much more than that. So we have seen that there are plenty of NPCs to interact with that look like they're going to be fairly relevant to the story, and so I'm assuming that they'll play some integral roles and will probably help with the quests. But I don't, beyond that simple idea, I don't know how the game is going to play, how the story is going to progress. Do you have any thoughts on it too, John?
I mean, we have the Berserk Pokemon as well, the ones that attack the trainers. And
that's an original concept. They've never had Pokemon go wild and uncontrollable for no reason.
But I do wonder if that's going to be a big part of the quests. You'll get someone say, "Oh no, a Chikorita's gone berserk! Stop him!" So maybe something like that will happen.
Not Chikorita, my favorite Pokemon Puzzle Challenge character.
Actually, you know what? One thing we haven't talked about is the starters. So this takes place in essentially Gen 4. Apart from the starters are Rowlett, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott, which is a really interesting mix.
Yeah.
I think it's because they all loosely are based on sort of historical Japanese imagery, things like, or at least weaponry. With Oshawott, samurai, Samurott is the final evolution, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
With Rowlett, you've got the Decidueye, which is an archer. That's another classic, a classic weapon from the past. #the past. And Cyndaquil, Typhlosion, is a classic. Big Shrew on fire. That was very common.
That's a big part of the Lord of the Rings, wasn't it? They had to stop Cyndaquil.
Did you say that was a big part of the Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brendan. That's the part where Brendan Bingle runs off the cliff with the wristband.
Brendan Bingle's Super Bean is not in the Lord of the Rings.
Are you sure?
Is he not?
Very.
Oh, that's weird. But out of these starters, though, which one catches your eye? Is there a one that that you want to hang out with for the rest of the game, or are you still kind of thinking that over?
I'm going to go with Rowlett, just because I like the idea of it. I like birds. I like plants. That's it.
I was thinking Rowlett too, but Oshawott is an otter.
There's Rowlett 2 as well?
Yeah, he's bigger. Yeah, that's another thing too. Pokemon are different sizes in this game. So wild Pokemon can come in all types of heights. That's kind of interesting too. But Xeon, what starter do you want?
That.
Yeah.
So I loved Cyndaquil when I was a kid, but I also eventually learned to like Chikorita as well. But part of me, basically what I'm saying is Chikorita is my new Gen 2 starter. That's who I'd pick these days. But so maybe I would pick Cyndaquil just for a bit of nostalgia. But otherwise, I think Rowlett as well. I'm currently playing Rowlett and Decidueye in my Pokemon trading card game deck, and so I felt like such an old person saying trading card game TCG deck. So I think I'd go with that little bugger as well. But I don't know if I can do that if all three of us are going to pick the same one. Jeez.
Hashtag Team Plant Bird.
Heck yeah. I glossed over a neat point there, but yeah, wild Pokemon are different sizes now. So you can find 2 Lucarios, and they'll both be different heights. So that's neat. I mean,
that's what you're...
Yeah, it's like the actual models are different heights.
Wow,
Someone's
I
had
was
fun
assuming
with the
that you
scaling
just...
tool.
I thought you just meant like, hey, a Charizard's going to be bigger than a Pikachu. And I was like, sweet.
I mean, that's not always guaranteed, though, is it? Like, in Let's Go, they were to scale, but then in Sword and Shield, they're all kind of minimized to sort of match the battlefield. I understand why they do that, because some later Pokemon, like Wailord, are massive, and how the camera kind of, matched that.
Sure. That is actually super neat. I didn't mean to sound so condescending with my joke either. I just actually, like, when you explained that 2 Lucarios can be different, it's so simply satisfying, I suppose.
As much as anything, it just adds a bit of variety to what you see on the battlefield. Not the battlefield, the overworld.
Yeah.
It just gives you a little bit more... You just look out and it's not like you're seeing the same Abra model 6 times, running at 10 frames a second. You're seeing the same Abra model 6 times, running at 10 frames a second, but some of them are a little bit bigger.
Well, one thing that I kind of mentioned this a little bit before, but I really want to see how they handle shiny Pokemon. And I guess what I mean by that is, like, we have to have shiny Pokemon in this game, right? Like I feel like they wouldn't throw that away. And I think the only answer is that they're going to be shiny on the battlefield. I don't know, or in the overworld. I don't know another way that they would handle it. But I just want to see the evidence that that's how it's going. That it just exists. That's how it's going to be. Because the idea of walking around, sneaking through the grass, looking over to your right as you turn the right stick to move the third-person camera, and you see there's just a shiny Bulbasaur on the ground, and oh man, your mind melts, and it's moving, it's walking around now. You can pause the game and put the game down and walk away from it and think about, like, oh my gosh, if I don't catch this, I'm a failure, but instead now it's there in real time with you walking around, and you can choose to throw a ball at it and maybe it'll run away, or you can throw a Pokemon out instead. And I loved trying to catch shiny Pokemon in the past games, but it was such a chore and like just stressful. Like, I remember trying to catch a shiny Vulpix in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, and I was farming for a while, and then I ended up encountering a shiny Chansey, and it ran away, and it was an awful experience. It was a memorable one though at that. But I guess I'm just excited to do it again, and I hope that they don't. Like, there's just something magical about, like, encountering something rare, out on the field, especially with Pokemon, because the games they revolve around collecting them all and catching them, and there's just some magic to that. And I guess I'm, as much as I just talked about how terrible that Chansey experience was, I really hope that they bring that back, and that it's fun. I just want a shiny hunt, because it feels like we're really hunting, and I don't even condone. I don't like hunting, you know that, but
that's why you're a vegetarian.
It's a
different kind of thing.
Some people spend like most of their game time looking for shinies, and like that's cool that people want to do that. But it's always such a grindy process, like breeding eggs and just waiting for them to hatch, and then just doing it over and over again until a shiny appears. Like, it's great if you find that fun, but I think there's definitely a better way to do that. And rather than just like, it's always cool when you find a shiny in the wild by accident. Like, that's the most rewarding thing, and just finally catching it, that's great. But I think like Zion was saying, with the Bulbasaur, if you just sort of turn the camera and see one just lounging around in the wild, that's way more invigorating than spending hours hatching eggs.
Do you know what? I think we can safely assume that there are shinies in this game. One thing I really hope they don't do is they don't start distributing shinies for free. Like, I totally understand why they do that. Everyone wants a free shiny. Why not? But it completely devalues them.
It does, yeah.
I hatched over 500 bloody eggs in Sword and Shield to get a shiny Magikarp, to get a shiny Gyarados, literally less than a week after I got it, and I wasted so much time. Literally less than a week afterwards, Nintendo, Pokemon, whatever, just announced, hey, we're giving away shiny Magikarps. And it was just like, what? I mean, like, I know they weren't out to get me, but they were out to get me.
They probably were.
They were.
Yeah, Masuda personally went, this Alex guy, he's got to get his comeuppance.
I mean, sort of, at the end of the day, I don't really care, but I care very deeply.
I mean, it's like buying a video game and then watching its price drop the week after down to $10 or something. Yeah, I mean, like it's exciting for everybody else, but it really sucks when it happens to you, and that's a bummer, man. And I think I agree as well that, like, at first when you were saying that you didn't want shinies to be distributed, I was like, why not? Why can't everybody have shinies? But at the same time, yeah, like, a lot of people put a lot of work into trying to get shinies, and it just, when everyone has them, it makes, like, I don't know, maybe it'll make someone not want to go through that process again. And maybe that's
when everyone's shiny, no one is.
And maybe that's more part of the problem, is that maybe shinies should be not easy to get, but easier. And I think I've always heard that like, people talk about, like, the shiny catch rate in blah 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 Pokemon Vitamin and Flintstone hard chews is easier to get than it was in Pokemon Black and White, but
don't stop making up Pokemon games, Xeon. It's not becoming.
They're bad names anyways. I should have went with, like, Pokemon Sonic and Knuckles or something, but I didn't. Here we are.
I'd be a Knuckles guy.
It would have been a lot better, yeah. but yeah, maybe that's the bigger problem, is maybe they just need to make it not such a pain in the Arceus,
Yeah.
Yeah. Make them. I'm not, against making them a little bit easier to get, as they have been over the years, because I think, sort of, people should be able to enjoy all these shiny Pokemon, but to just give them away for free makes you sort of think, well, then that Pokemon, there's no point in finding a shiny Pokemon of that kind, because now it makes it all of a sudden worthless, even though I don't care. It's not like I was going to put the Magikarp on the black market. I put it in my team. I wanted a Gyarados. I was having a water monotype team, and I really enjoyed it for the few days that I had it. And I've still got it, obviously. I just haven't touched the game in well over a year now. And, it's not a big deal. It's not. And I don't want people to think that I'm just this arse hurt, sort of, he hates Pokemon because of that. It's not a big deal. But it just sort of feels like, why would you have... And they do it with, like, legendaries and stuff. Like, hey, if you type the word biscuit in the start screen, you'll get a shiny Zamazenta. And it's like, so everyone's going to get a shiny Zamazenta. It's sort of, where's the clout? Where's the point in having shinies if they're going to be given away for free? We're getting slightly off topic.
Yeah, I was about to say, shinies are great, but this is a 35-minute video so far, and the last 10 have been about shinies. And we haven't talked about the battle system. Usually in Pokemon, you select your moves, you spam the A button as much as you want, and you just use the same attack over and over until they're dead. That's no longer the case anymore. So these are still turn-based battles, but it's much more like Final Fantasy X, where basically there's a little, like a little graphic in the corner showing who's up next. And you have either speed moves or power moves. And if you use a power move, your opponent then gets 2 moves. So there's more strategy this time. You can either focus on attacking more or attacking stronger. And that's going to make you spam the A button less, and hopefully make these battles a bit more strategic and interesting. And this is something we haven't seen that much of yet. So, like, how are you guys thinking about this battle system so far?
I really like the idea of it. I don't fully know whether it's going to gel with me per se when I get my hands on it, but I just, sort of mixing up the formula. Yeah, I'm well up for that. I want to see. I want to see more tactical gameplay that doesn't go down the route of, wiping out the Elite Four with a level 5 Rattata, Someone's going to get annoyed with that pronunciation in the comments.
There's so many. I say Rattata, but I've heard Rattata. Oh, that's not the common one.
I don't even know what I say anymore.
Rattata.
But Xeon, do you like the sound of this combat system?
I actually didn't know that's how it played out. but it does sound intriguing, and I like that it's different. But yeah, beyond that, I didn't actually know that there was going to be like the speed and the what was it that you said again? There's
official names for it, but it's speed and power essentially.
Okay,
so
It's like
use your
strong
same attacks.
style and
That's it.
Agile style.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. So you've got your normal moves. Let's say you have Scratch. You can either do a speedy Scratch or a powerful Scratch. So yeah, there's depth.
Sorry, speedy Scratch. I just like the sound of it.
It's good.
Speedy Scratch.
Okay. I guess I don't mind it. Maybe I'll save my thoughts for in the moment. But so basically, you'll pick. Every move will have two different types. Is that basically how it's going to work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's more that your Pokemon can enter two different stances and then produce the attack. I hope there's more interesting animations than two for each Pokemon.
We are seeing a few, like speaking of animations, we are seeing a few enhancements. Like Pokemon can turn around now. And if you've played Sword and Shield, you might remember Pokemon didn't turn. They just kind of pivoted, like they were facing one way.
They did turn. They just did it using the standard walking cycle.
Right. Yeah. So, but now Pokemon will actually rotate properly around, so that's neat. And also in battles, far more attacks actually connect rather than just being like a floating effect. It's like if you do, I don't know, my Scratch is on my mind, but if you do Scratch, instead of it just being like, oh, here's some claws, the Pokemon actually goes towards them. So there's plenty of
do you have a rash
like
or something, John?
Yeah, no, John's just really excited to scratch that Pokemon itch with Pokemon Legends Arceus come January 28th. There, thank you.
Nailed it.
The one thing, I don't know if you guys are nervous about this or not, but so in a lot of the trailers, we see not only can Pokemon battle, but you can also basically battle a Pokemon yourself now. Don't you even have, does your player character have their own life meter now too when you're, like, before you throw a Pokeball out?
Sort of. I mean, it's not a meter in a visual sense. Basically, it's, I think I've used this description before, it's a bit like Gears of War, where you don't have a health bar, but the more messed up your screen gets, the more damage you've taken. And presumably after a period of time of not taking damage, that then resets and you can go on your merry way.
Okay. And so I like the idea that we can kind of have this like one-to-one connection, kind of like in the anime, I suppose, or in the manga, like where a player walks up and, they don't even, like when Ash, I think when he first tries to catch like a Pidgey or
he gets attacked by Pidgeys, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, like I can't remember if this is the one, but I feel like he just throws a Pokeball out and it doesn't work, But then he learns that he needs to fight it,
right?
And but now we can have those same experiences here ourselves, where we just walk up and throw a Pokeball and maybe it will work if it's lower level or a good enough Pokeball, And I like the idea that the Pokemon will target you and attack you, and you have to dodge it. And I'm curious to see how they flesh out that side of things, like if there's going to be things that we can do to defend ourselves. But I'm not really sure that I love the idea of throwing a Pokeball out and then you're no longer controlling your player anymore. Like they're just kind of standing there, and the Pokemon is doing the battling. Is that how it works, or am I wrong on that?
I think you're right about the actual battles. One thing I'm a bit worried about is just throwing the Pokeball without engaging a battle and catching it. Because there's one point where in one of the trailers where they are riding on a Pokemon swimming, they jump up in the air, they throw a Pokeball while in the air, and just catch the Pokemon. And I'm a bit concerned about how easy that's going to be, and how disposable Pokemon are going to be. Do we just have our starter, and then the rest of the Pokemon are kind of like Breath of the Wild weapons that you just kind of dispose of when you want to? Because it just seems like catching a Pokemon is so seamless now that I don't know how personal it's going to be, or whether they are all permanent.
I mean, you say that, but when was the last time you were playing a Pokemon game, you caught a Weedle, and you were like, yeah, I caught a Weedle, and it didn't just go straight into your box and you completely forgot about it?
That's true, but at least you're incentivized to damage down the Weedle. I mean, you can just throw a Pokeball a lot of the time and catch them.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the time you just throw a Quick Ball out, and Quick Balls are stupidly overpowered.
I see what you mean here, though. I found that spot in the trailer, and it's just it's just a standard Pokeball that the trainer throws. It doesn't even look like a special type or anything like that that would add like a, not a status effect, but that would be slightly a higher like catch rate to that type of Pokemon. It doesn't look like anything special. We don't really see that the ball actually like fully captures the Pokemon, I don't think, because it shrinks down and stuff, but I think like I saw like a firework effect is supposed to pop up in the air, or something once we know it's caught. So I wonder if this scene here in the trailer was just kind of like a oh, look what you can do kind of, but it might not catch because you didn't actually attack it or anything. But I wonder if there are going to be different ways that we can try to catch the Pokemon beyond just throwing out a Pokeball. Like, are there going to be not necessarily like traps, but are there going to be like the things in Pokemon Snap that you would use? Are there things that you can throw at the Pokeball to make it more like you more, to make it sleepy or something like that? Because I think I would enjoy if they added a bit more strategy to this side of things, but I see what you mean about it being so easy. Because like if it is the case where you just ride up out of the water, you throw a Pokeball and you catch it in 10 seconds, like that's not fun. Like I guess the actual act of catching it might be, but like if you're able to catch every Pokemon like that, like that's so kind of throwaway, I guess the experience is, or it could be.
I kind of get that, but at the same time, you could easily rectify that, whether this is what is in the game or not. I have zero idea, but what you could easily do is have it so that the first Pokeball you throw has maybe a decent catch rate, maybe sort of even 50%, and then subsequently, every subsequent ball is significantly lower, like the second one is 10% or something, which incentivizes you then, if your first throw was inadequate, to get into a battle, whittle it down, and therefore actually make catching it, sort of useful. Because if you're stealthy at first, or you catch the Pokemon by surprise, it makes sense that the first ball would have a higher chance of catching it, and subsequent ones the Pokemon's aware, and it's like, no, I'm not going in that ball, you...
I mean, I guess now that I'm rewatching this too, I completely forgot about the fact that you actually have to aim your cursor and like target the Pokemon, and it so maybe they're kind of allowing you to catch Pokemon easier because you have your own skill to rely on as well about aiming at it. And I just noticed too in this water segment that I keep watching over and over again of the trainer like riding up and catching the Shellos, I think it is. It almost looks like I can't remember what it's called, but in Breath of the Wild, when you jump in the air off of a horse and you pull out your bow, and it's like a slow-mo Matrix mode, it almost looks like the Pokemon trainer is doing something kind of like that as well, where you just get a little bit more
I think
time
it is like
to target.
slow-mo or something, yeah.
Okay. And that's kind of fun, I guess, but I completely forgot about the fact that there is just our own player skill, in order to catch it. And I like your idea, Alex. I think that's really neat. Like, if you don't catch it on the first one, then like, oh, well, I guess I better throw out my Pokemon and battle ya.
You don't have to sound so defeatist about it.
I guess Alex is right. But on the topic of Alex being right, we should probably end up this discussion because we are running low on time. So, after talking about it for nearly an hour, how are you guys feeling about Arceus? Because there are so many unknowns that we don't know about yet. And there's still a lot of the game we still need to see to really get a grip of how it all works. But are you feeling more excited now that we've talked about it?
A tiny bit, yes. More to do with the potential of what could be in the game, which is not like perfect by any means, because we really still have not seen that much. I'm hoping that they're just holding their cards close to their chest. They're trying to do a bit of a Breath of the Wild where they don't show everything and therefore everyone can enjoy it firsthand, but at the same time I wouldn't be entirely surprised if actually there isn't as much to do as we would hope.
I think for me, I'm walking away from this discussion more excited, but I think it's because like I've already kind of said this before, but my favorite thing about Pokemon is the mystery, like of evolving a Pokemon and finding out what it's going to turn into, and going in as spoiler free as possible. And I'm always kind of that way. Like, spoilers will someday be the death of me. And but so I think not knowing anything about this game, really, as far as the story goes and kind of how we're going to be able to find more Pokemon. Like, I don't want to know where to find Shaman or where to find Darkrai. Like, I know that they're in the game because we've seen that in one of the trailers that you guys shared, but I don't want to know how we catch them. And I think that's what I'm most excited about, is just going into this world, exploring and finding, finding these Pokemon. And it doesn't really seem like there's going to be a lot of Pokemon that we haven't seen before. Like, there's a few new things, and there's some like Hisuian Pokemon as well that maybe we haven't seen their evolutions of, and so that's exciting. But yeah, I think I am walking away from this more excited, just to kind of like find out all these mysteries, like together, like with people online, and kind of chat about it, and also just find it for myself and be careful about sharing spoilers and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty optimistic. But like I said before too, I don't think this is going to be my favorite game of this year. Maybe. I mean, I'll find out in a month. But
it's still January, aren't we? But,
yeah.
Yeah. That's the best. That's the best kind of takeaway, is that there is ambition and there is reason to be excited. And when was the last time you could really say that about Pokemon? Like, with Sword and Shield, I was looking forward to it, but I wasn't anticipating it. It was just like, I want to play another Pokemon game, but that's it. I knew what I was expecting. This time there's something different about it, though, and that's what's exciting. But we are running out of time, so why don't you guys aim your Pokeballs at a subscribe button and throw it? You caught it. And be sure to like this video and give it a kiss. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Give it a kiss. Kiss it.
Don't make me do it. I don't want to.
Mwah. Give it a big old smooch.
Mwah.